Everybody, this is Lorelia. Welcome to another episode of the Never Lose a Deal podcast. This podcast is for real estate investors and business owners who are looking for creative ways to be able to ex- expand as well as acquire real estate. And so, my topic for today is why asset based lending is best for small business owners. So, before I go into today's topic, let me just give you some background of this podcast. Let's say that today marks 1 year since I have started the Never Lose a Deal podcast. I started this podcast last year, not new to sharing information and value online. I originally started with a YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, of course, I have over 800 plus videos on YouTube, but in the podcasting space, started last year, and today marks my 25th episode, as well as it's marked a year since I've started this podcast. And so the reason why I just started this podcast, and that is what I want to talk about today, is because I wanted to give context to the content that I share. Because a lot of times online, we hear a lot, some great sound bites, and a lot of times what happens is that a lot of people leave a lot of the context out of what it is they're talking about. And so what happens is that when you don't have the right context, it leaves the user, the person on the other end, a bit confused, or they'll try to apply what they're hearing. Even with this podcast, I mean, I'm only here for about 30 to 45 minutes, but understand it's to give you an awareness of a particular topic, and it's up to you to go deeper with the particular topic. But I always tell people, never just take something that you hear online, even if it's coming from me. Do your own research, do your own due diligence to really find out the truth of whatever it is that you are looking to learn about. And that is my goal with the Never Lose a Deal top podcast. And that is why I'm talking about asset based lending. So, for the past couple of episodes, I've been talking a lot about DSCR loans. And so, just to give you an idea of what asset based lending is, if you're not familiar with it, asset based lending is a form of financing in the real estate space where the financing that is used to acquire the real estate asset is based on the asset. It's truly based on the asset. Do they take things into account of the business owner or the real estate investor who's trying to purchase it? Yes. But depending on the type of financing, because there's a whole range. So if you ever hear someone who says there's just one type of asset based lending run, it's not. There are many types of asset based lending. And that's why I said this show is geared for individuals who want to creatively learn how to be able to acquire real estate from a non traditional way. And the reason why I say non traditional is because most people are familiar with FHA, VA loans, USDA loans, conventional loans, the list goes on. But when it comes to asset based lending, that is where things get a little bit more creative. And so, for the business owner, what's traditionally been told for the business owner, and that's why I said this show is going to be primarily for real estate financing, leveraging asset-based lending for the business owner. So traditionally the business owner, and let me just outline what's a small business owner, because once again, my goal is to give you context. It's not for, and I want you to hear me as I say this. It's not for the person who just started a business and they have no revenue. They have no bank statements, they have no revenue, they have nothing. So understand, we're not talking about those individuals. I'm using the definition that's based on the government and the SBA, the United States SBA .gov site, and according to them, a small business, of course, depending on the NAICS code, but it is a business that has less than 500 employees and their annual revenues are less than 7.5 million. So that is who I'm talking about. Small businesses that are under what the Small Business Administration says is small business, not the person who just got an LLC. And like I said, they came online and someone said, hey, you could be a real estate millionaire. Not talking about those individuals. Reason why is because it's not going to relate to asset-based lending. And I'm going to go into why it's not going to relate. So what has been commonly told to a lot of business owners is that if you want to get a mortgage to buy real estate, you got to go full doc. Now, for those who don't know what full doc is, because I'm using terminology that's only understood by those who are in the industry, full doc is when you are sharing everything with the lender. You are giving them tax returns, you're giving them any type of documentation, like bank statements, maybe your W-2, if you even have a W-2 with your business. I mean, you're giving them the whole gamut. That's full doc. But asset-based lending allows you to buy a piece of real estate or acquire a piece of real estate based on the income and the revenues of the asset, because the lender is looking at what type of income can this particular asset generate. And that's why in the two episodes before this one, I talked about DSCR loans, because that is a form of financing in the asset-based lending space, where you can be able to acquire real estate and you don't have to be that small business owner who is concerned about, oh, did I file all my taxes? Oh, in order for me to buy real estate, I have to file all my taxes. I got to make sure I'm paying myself as a W-2 employee. The list goes on and on and on. Traditionally, that is what has been known. Even your formally certified CPAs, accounting professionals will still advise their clients that if you want to get a mortgage and you're self-employed or a small business owner, this is what you have to have in place. And by all means, is that still the right information? It is. Because for that business owner that is sensitive with, they don't want high interest rates, they want the best terms, they may even only want bank financing. They may not even want asset-based financing, because a lot of times asset-based lending financing is not a bank product. It is something, and I've talked about that when I did my first DSCR video. It is financing that a lot of times is created by either private equity firms, hedge funds, or what have you. So it's a non-traditional bank product. But you have some business owners that they want to go the traditional route. They want to go to their local bank or a bank that they have a relationship with, and that is who they want to get their mortgage with, and understand that process. They have to go full doc. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But asset-based lending gives the end user, the small business owner, the ability to get a bit creative. And that is why I said asset-based lending is like the best product or the best opportunity for that business owner who wants that creativity, who wants to be able to get into real estate or invest in real estate and don't have to primarily worry about debt to income ratio. Did my accountant file my tax returns? Do I have to pay myself as a W-2 employee? The list goes on and on, because there are some business owners who will rule themselves out when it comes to real estate financing, and they will think that there are not financing opportunities that can help them. And like I said, the gamut, there's a whole gamut when it comes to asset-based lending. I mean, of course, I'm just talking about DSCR loans. I mean, of course, for that business owner who really wants to, be creative and really do a deep dive on and understand what's the best product for them. I mean, you have at least, and once again, disclaimer, giving context to what I want to talk about. I'm talking about the lending relationships that I have with the lenders that I work with when it comes to asset based lending. So let me just say this: you can hear the information from this video, try to go out there in the marketplace yourself and look for particular lending products, and you may hit a brick wall, because at the end of the day, it is business. If I am a mortgage broker and I do FHA all day, every day, I'm not trying to help you get no DSCR loan, because it may not even be part of my lending box. That's not even what my office does. So I'm not going to try to figure out and go out there and look for those products for you. And that's what a lot of people need to understand when it comes to you doing your own research and you're hearing things like, for me, talking about asset-based lending and understanding that, oh wow, there are so many types of financing products that go with it. Lorelia said DSCR loans. Then there's financing options that's just bank statement, meaning that for that business owner that they don't keep the best records. Tax returns are a lot of times late, meaning every year they're almost on extension. No shade, not passing judgment, but they do have the revenue and they can show it, meaning they don't have a problem putting 30% down on a piece of real estate. They don't have a problem putting down 25% on a piece of real estate, because they know that they have the finances and the income to support it. So there's there's bank statement financing where the lender is just looking at the income that you bring in from your business, and you can show that. Then, of course, then you have light doc, where they're not going to do full doc. The lender may not do full doc, but they may just look at they're not going to look at tax returns, but they may just look at your bank statements. So, like I said, there's a whole gamut when it comes to asset based lending. But the point that I want to make with this video is that it's flexible. It gives the business owner options. And if you don't walk away with anything from this conversation, understand there are options when it comes to asset-based lending, when it comes to creative financing. Because a lot of people have said to me, well, Lorraine, I don't quite understand what you mean about creative financing. And I understand that being a very uh, a question that may not be too clear. And I can see why a person would ask that, because creative financing it's not one way. Like I always say, it's 100 ways to skin a cat. It's not just one way how to do it. It's just creative financing, at least the way I defined it, is taking something that most people know is a traditional way of doing things, but now you're doing it non-traditional. So creative financing is a non-traditional way of still being able to get you to your goal, but it's not going to be the way that traditionally people would think it's done. And that's what I want people to walk away with, that when you watch this video, is that, can you be a business owner who is interested in diversifying your portfolio and buying real estate? Yes, but you may not want to do it the traditional route. That's why I said there are some business owners who it doesn't, like they really don't care about getting their mortgage financing done at the banks that they have relationships with or the local bank in their area. They may be open to creatively doing something that's not so common, but it still gets them to their goal because they get a little flexibility. Like I said, with DSCR, they're looking at the asset. And with other types of Asset-based financing, a lot of times, yes, the asset is looked at. They are looking at what is the revenue being brought in from the particular property. So understand, and let me make this clear, asset-based lending is only for investment properties. So it's not for the business owner who is looking to buy their primary home. I'm glad that I've just thought about that, because I want to make that point clear. Because the small business owner who is looking to purchase their primary home, that's a whole separate conversation. That's why I said, you go to a lender, you're looking to buy a primary home for your family, and all they do is FHA all day long. That's what they're going to talk to you about. But if you're looking for diversification and now you want to go into the investment space because you want to diversify other ways on how you can bring revenue into your investment portfolio, and you find that real estate is the vehicle, now you want to be able to explore other opportunities for you to get financing. And a lot of times, what many business owners don't know is they don't have to go the traditional route. So I understand your accountant may be telling you, oh, you got to have all your tax returns and W-2s and all this other stuff. Start with, what is the goal? What is the goal that you're looking to do? And understand that you may still can get to that goal, but there's other ways to get you to the route that you want to get to. So that is really all that I have for this episode of the Never Lose a Deal podcast. As always, please go to www.neverloseadealpodcast.com to learn more about me. If you have any questions regarding this topic, please leave it. If you're watching on YouTube, because I keep forgetting that. If you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment below. But if you are watching or listening, should I say, on some of the podcast platform sites, leave me a comment or what have you. I still got to get the terminology right when it comes to podcasting. But as always, I'm going to continue this conversation because, like I said, this whole year has been my focus and my goal to give clarity and context to these topics, and not from a salacious standpoint. So, once again, look for me to share with you more information on asset-based lending, different forms of financing, how it can possibly help you to be able to expand your real estate portfolio. Until the next time, please go to www.neverloseadealpodcast to learn more about me. And I look forward to talking to you and sharing info in the next video. Bye-bye.